Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ray, and today I'm going to share my humble collection of Game Boy games and console. That includes Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. Just a quick background, I didn't have any of these growing up. We only had NES. When my brother got his first job, he bought a Game Boy Advance in silver. With that, he bought 4 games. That is F-Zero, Choo Choo Rocket, Donkey Kong Country, and Mario Kart. We would play the same 4 games over and over again. I would also go to 7-Eleven and look at Nintendo Power and look at the games that I wish I would be able to afford one day. Fast forward to now, I have a 72 complete in box Game Boy games and I have 10 console. And I still have some games on my wish list that one day I will be able to put in my collection. Without further delay, let's get started.
Said it wasn't humanly possible. All the power and excitement of Nintendo right in the palm of your hand. Introducing Game Boy. It's portable, it's in stereo, and its games are interchangeable. Game Boy comes complete with batteries and the outrageous new game Tetris. And for head-to-head competition, use Video Link and blow your opponent away. Game Boy, only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power, portable power.
Here we have my husband's original Game Boy. This beast is still in a working condition. Unfortunately, I never got a Game Boy Pocket or Game Boy Light, even though it was always been on my radar. Next, we have these 3 beauties, the Game Boy Color. These are my favorite version, the Kiwi, Clear Purple, and my very own Pokemon Silver. I got the Pokemon Silver from eBay years ago for $80. I was very excited when I received it in the mail, and it's a beautiful condition. I wish I collected more variants and limited edition when it was available. The only complaint I have with the Game Boy Colors is it's easily scratched and there's no proper backlight. Thankfully, they fixed that issue with the GBA SP, the AJS 101. Next is the Kiwi Color. I remember watching the commercial back in the day. They introduced the yellow color and I thought it was a gorgeous looking Game Boy, but I ended up buying the Kiwi Color instead. I tried to keep my handhelds clean and mint as possible to prevent further scratches and scuffs.
It's a jungle in there. Donkey Kong Country rated E for everyone on Game Boy Color.
I still want to add Dandelion, Teal, Grape, and Berry in my collection. Next is the Clear Atomic Purple. This we have to piece it together. This is where we buy a console or game separate from the packaging. Then later on, we buy the box or the inserts. This is a cost-effective way for us when it comes to retro collecting. The box was $10 and the inserts was under $5, or what we call it, Frankensteining. Next we have the Game Boy Advance. I find this more comfortable in my hand compared to the other Game Boys. This is my husband's original purple console, and mine is the white console. I also love the built-in headphone jack, but the only complaint I have with just like the other Game Boys, I wish they have a better backlight. I know there's an option of modding this console, but I like to keep everything in the original condition. This console is only original once, and I plan to keep it that way. I prefer using the purple console than my white one because it's very hard for me to keep the white one from discoloration, especially I use makeup almost every day. Game Boy in general aged so well. Some of my PSPs and Xbox 360 stopped working, but all of the Game Boys are still in a working condition. When it comes to Nintendo hardware, I never had an issue. The original NES that I got still works 30 years later. Next is the absolute best version of the Game Boy, the Game Boy SPs. This is the Game Boy Advance AJS 101. I love the brighter screen and it's my go-to console whenever I play Game Boy games. In case you guys are wondering, this is a protector I got from Retro Protection. I will link that description down below. I do however stop taking the Game Boys in general for travel, especially when I go to work. These Game Boys are easily scratched and I like to maintain their condition. I do want to add Analog Pocket for travel purposes. If you're not aware with the Analog Pocket, it's a multi-video game system. displays with Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and Game Boy Color. The selling part for me with the Analog Pocket, it comes with adapters. With the adapters, you can play Game Gear, Neo Geo Pocket, and Atari Lynx, which I don't own in my collection. I plan to add the Analog Pocket so I can preserve all my Game Boys. I know the Neo Geo Pocket is so expensive now, but I still want to have few games in my collection. If you own the Analog Pocket, please let me know in the comments down below if they're worth it, and is it worth the wait? Next is the Game Boy Advance Classic NES. I actually bought this one in a local pawn shop, and I can recall almost jumping over the counter when I spotted a complete in box with Metroid Zero Mission, which is complete in box as well, and some few loose copies for only under $50. You can never find that kind of deal nowadays. Here we have my original Game Boy SP. This is one of my favorite travel buddy back in my college years. I really love the clamshell design. It almost looks like a makeup compact. It fits in all my girly jeans, even my skinny jeans. And I brought this everywhere from cheerleading practices, college parties, concerts, and even group studies. I really like the clamshell design. It really helps protect the screen, but it didn't protect the external things from scratches and scuffs. So I always use my makeup covers to help from getting damaged. I love the battery span of the Game Boy SP compared to the 3DS and the PS Vita. The battery lasts at least 7 to 10 hours for me. Next, we have the most gorgeous Game Boy ever, the Game Boy Micro. This is the only Nintendo system that has metal feature. This 20th anniversary Game Boy Micro is definitely one of my favorite. It looks a lot like Iron Man. From the removable faceplate to a very cool compact minimal design, this is definitely a collector's piece. Next is the Silver Edition. This also came with a removable faceplate, but I never really used the faceplate because I like the way it looks. Did I mention the backlight is gorgeous? It's almost better than the GBA AJS 101. Another feature that I love about this Game Boy is the headphone jack. I wish they added that to the Game Boy SP. I love the aesthetic of the Game Boy Micro, but it's not very comfortable for a long period of time of gameplay. I try not to use this, especially when it comes to RPGs. And I also didn't like the lack of backwards compatibility. Overall, this is definitely a piece to own to any Nintendo collector in my opinion. I love that I got this back in the day at MSRP. It's insane how much these Game Boy Micros have increased in value. Now, let's move on with the games. I want to start with my loose copies. Here we have Yoshi Tipsy Derby, Namco Museum, Tak, Pokemon Ruby, Sean Palmer's Pro Snowboarders, Boulder Dash EX, Aero the Acrobat, Riviera, Army Men Operation Green, Onimusha Tactics, Crash Adventure Huge Adventure, Uno and Skippo Double Pack, Klonoa Empire of Dreams, Breath of Fire, Shaman King, Yahtzee, Fortress, and my extra copy of Iridion 3D. Next is one of my favorite, the classic Ghouls 'n Ghosts. Ghouls 'n Ghosts is a sequel for the Ghosts 'n Goblins on NES. I can't say this game is easier because they're both difficult for me, but it's still a fun, hair-pulling game in my opinion. Next we have the Pokemon Pinball, Silent Scope, the classic Pokemon Yellow, Kirby Tilt and Tumble, Conker's Pocket Tales, Tetris 2, Tetris, Super Mario Land, Wario Land, the classic Donkey Kong Country, which is a second copy, Metroid 2, Botkai, and Kirby's Dream Land. I love Kirby franchise in general. The only game I didn't like was the Rainbow Curse. I'm still hoping to find boxes and manuals for these copies, but I'm hoping to get them on a reasonable price. Next, let's move on with my complete in box. First is the Iridium 3D. It has 7 levels, but this game is extremely frustrating. Not because of the difficulty. The weapons are super basic. No powers, no super weapons. This is one of the most impressive games on the system. It's visually stunning, but beautiful graphics and outstanding soundtrack alone does not make a great game. This one fails for me because of the repetitive and uninteresting gameplay. Next, we have Shaman King Master of Spirit, the underrated Lady Sia, Motocross Maniac Advance, my favorite Choo Choo Rocket, Namco Museum, Lego Stunt Rally, Naruto Ninja Console 2, Spyro Super Pack, Rogue Spear, Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku, Mario Pinball Land, which is such a fun game. I love pinball games in general and I wish they re-released these games on the Switch. I also want them to re-release Metroid Pinball and Pokemon Pinball. We have the Guardian Hero Advance, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Next is another favorite of mine, Spyro: The Eternal Night. I love Spyro franchise in general. It's something that I never hesitate to picking up. This game, however, is such a beautiful game on the Game Boy Advance. I love the music and I love the play mechanics. This game is fun from start to finish and I love the replay value. Next we have Rampage, Puzzle Attack, SpongeBob SquarePants the Movie, Star X, Road Rash Jailbreak, Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring, and another favorite, Guilty Gear X Advanced Edition. This is a fun portable version of Guilty Gear with simplified moves and graphics. I think the sprite looks amazing on the GBA. I know it's not as superior when it comes to fighting game, but I love to play on the go. And I may be biased here because I love fighting games in general. I love Tekken franchise, Street Fighter franchise, you name it, I love them. And I love the Guilty Gear franchise. I'm not the greatest when it comes to fighting games, but I love playing on the go. My go-to fighters are Soul, the bad guy, and Baiken. Next is another favorite, WarioWare Twisted. This is one of my favorite Wario games. This game is so much fun. I love the mini games, the catchy jingle you can listen to, and it has amazing graphics. This game is just mindless fun, and I got this game from EB Games back in the day for only $10. I found majority of these games in thrift stores, pawn shop, clearance racks. You'll hear me say back in the day. I wanted to emphasize that I did not obtain all this collection yesterday, that it took me 15 years to build our library. Next we have Pinball Thrill Ride, Strike Force Hydra, Super Robot Taisen Original Generation, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Fall of the Foot Clan, Advance Wars, Black Hole Rising, Spyro Orange. This copy is really beat up and I'm trying to find a replacement for this. Next is Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament. This is another franchise that I really love. I love the floppy-eared Klonoa. This game is a fast-paced, very colorful side-scrolling game and I find it very challenging. There are stages that are more easier than the others, but I find it hard to finish this game without dying too much. Next we have Gunstar Superhero, Sigma Star, another amazing game, Super Street Fighter 2. Here we have one of my favorite, Dragon Ball Advance Adventure. I love this game. I really think it's an underrated game. This game has a lot of amazing gameplay element. It has a beat 'em up element, platformer element, fighting game element. It's really hard for me to categorize this game because the sheer amount of genre in one game. When I was logging this on my Game Eye, this game jumped in prices in just a couple of years. If you never played this game, I think it's definitely worth to hunt for. Next we have Counter Punch, Crazy Chase, F-Zero GP Legend, Crazy Racer, Sonic Advance, Astro Boy Omega Factor, Final Fantasy Tactics, Tales of Phantasia, Kingdom Hearts, Lunar Legend, Tekken Advance, which we got recently, SSX Tricky, and Mega Man and Bass. Lastly, this set of games is one of the reasons I own a Game Boy. I have such fun memories of all these games, and this is a system seller for me. The moment I saw this in the magazine, I knew I had to have this in my collection. We have Castlevania Circle of the Moon, Golden Sun, Last Age, Golden Sun, Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance, and one of my favorite, Castlevania The Aria of Sorrow. This game is definitely one of the best graphics in the Game Boy Advance. Unfortunately, this game is only 8 hours, but if you have a gaming skill like me, this could go on forever. I love that it's not as difficult like the Castlevania games. And I know Konami was very aware of that because after finishing this game, there's actually a hard mode option, which I never really tried. The tactical soul system really works in this game and is extremely fun. This game is flawless in my opinion. Whether you're a collector or not, this game is a must-have for the Game Boy Advance. Not to mention the soundtrack for this game is divine. Next, one of our favorite franchise, The Legend of Zelda. We have The Legend of Zelda Four Swords, The Minish Cap, Link's Awakening, Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Season, and Link's Adventure, Adventure of Link, and Legend of Zelda, Wario Land 4, Wario Land 3, Wario Land 2, and Wario Land. Next we have Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Land 3, Super Mario Land 2, Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, and Mario Kart. Next is one of my all-time favorite as well, the Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. This is one of my favorite game in the franchise along with Bowser Inside Story. The battle system is very entertaining, and if you can get enough, there's always side quests to look out for. I love the mini games that you can replay at a higher score, and I always find myself smiling all the time because of the great sense of humor of this game. No need to hunt for this version because this is also available on the 3DS. I wish I can highlight all my favorite on this video, but this video will last for hours. So if you have any games you want to see in the gameplay, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll definitely highlight them for you. Next we have the classic Donkey Kong Country 3, Donkey Kong Country 2, and Donkey Kong Country. This DKC was my first game in the Game Boy. Next we have Dr. Mario, Kirby's Dream Land, Fire Emblem Sacred Stone, Fire Emblem, Metroid Fusion, Metroid Zero Mission, and the pinnacle of Game Boy, the Pokemon Emerald version, Pokemon Leaf Green version, and Pokemon Fire Red. I'm still in the hunt for Pokemon Crystal, Castlevania Belmont Revenge, Mega Man 5, Kirby's Pinball, and Contra Alien Wars. I am very realistic about game hunting. I am completely satisfied with our collection, and I know retro game hunting has become very expensive, and majority of the time I focus on newer gens. So there you have it, that is our collection of Game Boy. I do have games that I want to add in my collection, hopefully this year. Pokemon Crystal is definitely high up on my list. If you have any Game Boy games that you enjoyed and highly recommend, let me know in the comments down below. I will definitely try to put them on my want list for this year, only if they're a reasonable price, of course. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!